2010 Audi S5 Rear Camera and Module, Replacement and Diagnosis, Camera Module 8F0907441 or Substitute 8T0907441. Gottes Willen, was ist denn los mit dem verdammten Auto? With no display, the problem is either in the camera or the Panasonic camera module, since we have the radio on the display. If you have a diagnostic system, like the ratchet VCDS, then see if the camera module responds. Plug the ratchet ODB2 module into the Audi's diagnostic port located on the firewall to the left of the steering wheel. Turn on the car's ignition but do not start the car. Start the ratchet software and use the Select Control Module button. Select Control Module 6C, Backup Camera. Was für ein riesiger Haufen Scheiße. If the camera module has power, then check power at the camera. No power at the camera means the camera module is bad. And so now we have to replace the camera module. The exact replacement module seems to be only used on convertibles or cabriolets and is displayed on the right. The part number is prefixed with 8F0. A substitute module prefixed with 8T0 can be used. Both modules are the same size and use the same connectors. Note the subpart numbers, which may be used on other VG cars. The 8T0 module will display a blue field and yellow guidelines. The car's other electronics overlay the longer yellow lines. Those lines will still follow the front wheel track, and the blue field and shorter yellow lines will not follow the steering wheel. However, the blue field still gives you an idea of distance to any obstacle. Open the trunk. The camera module is located in the passenger side or right rear fender well. The cubby hole is opened by pulling it out at the top. This will give you access to the rear fender well and the camera module. Note the unglaublich nervig shape of the cubby hole cover that will be in your way now. Wenn deutsche Ingenieurskunst so toll ist, warum sollte man es nicht so machen, dass sich die Abdeckung abzieht? Remove the 3 10mm nuts holding the convertible roof module and camera module frames to the rear fender. There is a single Torx T25 screw that holds the convertible roof module frame and the backup camera frame module together. The backup camera frame is also secured at the bottom with a October 4mm nut. It is possible to just remove the camera module frame by only removing the lower 10mm nut and the Torx T25 screw. But you will be fighting against the convertible roof module's 3 wiring harnesses. Und mal ehrlich, wer braucht schon mehr Kopfschmerzen beim Entfernen des Kameramoduls? Pull the convertible roof module frame off its mounting studs to get it out of your way. Lift the camera module frame off its low mounting stud and pull it out so you can remove the 3 RF coaxial camera cables. The keepers for each cable face the outside of the car. Ach, danke für nichts. Your coaxial cables may have different colors, so remember the cable orientation by taking a picture with your phone camera. Some of the keepers may not release due to old age. If that happens, lift the front of the keeper with a small hook or dental pick. Remove the multi-wire connector at the bottom of the camera module by lifting up its white keeper lock bar. This releases the multi-connector and you can pull it away from the camera module. Once the multi-connector is removed, you will be able to pull out the camera module and its frame to replace the camera module. Here is the camera module in its frame removed from the fender well. On this car there is a 5th mounting stud with 10mm nut for the camera frame, but it had fallen off or been broken off before I got the car. Warum bin ich nicht überrascht? Vielleicht hat ein wilder Schimpanse eine frühere Reparatur des Kameramoduls durchgeführt. Oder vielleicht wurde der Befestigungsbolzen nicht richtig montiert. Immerhin konnte ein Schimpanse den oberen Befestigungsbolzen für den Rahmen des Cabrio-Dachmoduls erreichen. Remove the camera module from its frame by pulling back the keeper with your thumb. While you hold the keeper away from the camera module, push the module through the frame from the opposite end of the frame. Slide the replacement camera module into the now empty camera frame. The camera module connection points will be beneath the clip for the Torx T25 screw. The RF coaxial cable connections are at the top, and C multi-connector socket is at the bottom. If the old camera module was corroded, then the multi-connector at the bottom will be corroded as well. Clean the connector with your favorite electronics contact cleaner. Now is a good time to clean the fender well of any water, Schmutz, Urin, Innereien, Detritus oder Exkremente. This is when you use WD-40. WD stands for water displacement. I don't recommend it for other uses other than cleaning. Clean as best you can. Work or wanker the camera module back into the fender well. Reattach the wiring from the bottom up. Start with the multi-wire connector and lock it into place with its white keeper bow. Then reattach the RF coaxial cables, attaching the lowest first. Remember how the coaxial cables were originally attached using the phone picture I suggested you take earlier. Turn on the ignition, place the car in reverse, and verify the backup camera is now working. Danke Gott im Himmel für kleine Gefälligkeiten. Clear the diagnostic trouble codes or DTCs with your diagnostic tool or ODB2 reader. Install the camera frame first. Place the front of the camera frame on the stud that points up from the fender well floor. Then install the convertible roof module frame on its 3 studs above the camera module frame. One stud is high up on the fender and you will have to feel around for the Stott. Loosely spin on the 15 mm Flamit nuts. Connect the convertible roof frame to the backup camera frame with the Torx T25 screw. Then tighten down all the fasteners enough to hold things together. Your work is done, and you have stuck it to the man. If you bought a used part from a junkyard or off eBay, like Viking used auto parts, then you saved a lot of money. Dies ist ein weiterer Sieg für den einfachen Mann gegen die Gier und Habgier der Unternehmen und Händler. Kaufen Sie sich ein Bier und eine Wurst. Du hast es dir verdient. Backup camera replacement. The backup camera is located in the trunk lid under the Audi 4 Rings moniker to the left of the emergency key lock. The emergency key is twisted inboard to open the trunk. The trunk lid can only be opened with the emergency key if the key fob battery dies, or when there is a convertible roof malfunction. You have to remove the trunk lid liner to service the backup camera. First, unsnap the emergency trunk lid release handle from its socket. There is a screw that is located under the base of the handle. You can let the trunk lid liner hang from the emergency trunk lid release handle's release cable. Sie könnten diese Schraube überall platzieren, also ist dies eine Möglichkeit, diejenigen zu frustrieren, die das Auto selbst reparieren würden. Open both the tail light bulb access panels in the trunk lid by pulling down on them. The metal receivers may come out and require some bending so they stay in the trunk lid. Jetzt muss ich mich auch noch mit diesen Metalldingern herumschlagen? Unsnap or pop off the 2 retaining panels located inboard of the adjustable rubber bumpers. You do not need to remove the bumpers to remove the trunk lid liner. Removing them using a 6 mm Allen wrench may give you better leverage to remove the panels. Remove the nearly invisible Phillips head screw at the trunk lid pull-down handle. You can now unsnap the trunk lid liner from the trunk lid. The metal bayonet snap fasteners may stay in the trunk lid. You will have to pry or pull any off snap fasteners that stay in the trunk lid in order to reinstall them on the trunk lid liner to reinstall the liner. Das wird schnell zu einer Sache, an der ich am wenigsten gerne arbeite. The backup or reverse camera fits in a square hole in the trunk lid. It is held in with a metal retainer that is fastened to the trunk lid with a 10 mm bolt and a bell-shaped nut. Mein Gott, was für ein unnötiges Maß an Komplexität. Remove the backup camera metal retainer from the RF coaxial cable by sliding the cable through the slot on the retainer. Then just slide the camera out of its square-shaped socket. Disconnect the backup camera's RF coaxial cable. It has the same kind of keeper as used on the camera module. Now is a good time to trace the wiring so you know the camera is getting power. The camera is red positive and black negative. The car wiring harness is red positive but brown with a blue trace for negative. Audi changes wire harness colors at various connectors and sometimes 3 times from a sensor to a module. Und nur Gott weiß warum. The camera part number is 4L0980551D. However, you can search on the other part numbers and perhaps find the same camera cheaper. Test the power to the camera. You can use back probes on the connectors or use the finest sewing needles you can find. Push them through the wires and then check voltage with your meter. You can also trace ground continuity. Brown is the ground wire color. You will find various grounds attached to the body of the car. Connect the camera power and coaxial cables and make sure it works before reinstallation. No picture? Check the camera module and its power. Put the camera back into its square socket in the trunk lid. Secure it with the camera retainer 10 mm bolt and bell nut. Then snap the trunk lid liner back into place. Reinstall the rectangular snap connectors. Reinstall the rubber screw in bumpers if you removed them. Endlich mal gute deutsche Ingenieurskunst hier. Das verstellbare Stoßstangendesign ist sehr schön. You are now an expert on the 2010 Audi S5 Cabriolet Rear Camera Module and camera replacement. Expect variations in later models. German carmakers often do mid-year revisions. Hopefully you saved some coin and learnt you can do these repairs yourself.